Hello, Phil Analysis. Just a couple of points here. I've made some fairly significant changes to the schedule of readings for our first half, simpler, I believe. We're just going to kind of stick with Searle through the first half, and we'll push some of those other readings to their own thing in the second half. I've posted this up on iLearn. You can check it out. And I now will start inserting a couple quizzes, a couple other things, and we'll have a pretty good, complete, stable reading schedule. So you can check that out on iLearn. Basically chapters 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 from Searle. And another point, in class today I was giving this Einstein example in the process of looking at this question whether or not there are objective, mind-independent truths. And I got a little flubbed up on part of it. There was some part of it that was eluding me, and I now remember it, and thought I would just kind of briefly give that to you here, just in case you're interested. It's a famous example. We're to imagine something like this. I don't have a chalkboard or something like that, so I think I'll just have to use my hands and gesticulate and do what I can. We are to imagine two bolts of lightning coming down, striking the ground at what would appear to be the same time, midway between the two bolts of lightning that seem to be striking the ground at the same time, simultaneously. That's the big issue, whether or not there's an objective conception of simultaneity. So we've got these two bolts of lightning, and midway between the two bolts of lightning is a rapidly moving train and a stationary observer not in the train, on the ground, and they are basically parallel in between, right in the midpoint of the two bolts of lightning. Hopefully you can picture that with my little hand gestures. Train, stationary observer, two bolts of lightning, train and observer in between them. The train, however, is moving at the speed of light, nearing the speed of light, which is very, 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 very fast. And thus, by the time the light from the lightning bolt on this side reaches the eyes of the observer on the train, it will get there sooner than the light from the other lightning bolt that the person's moving away from on the rapidly moving train. So this lightning bolt that the person is rapidly moving towards will appear to them as striking first, because that light has a shorter distance to travel because they're moving towards it so fast at the speed of light, or nearing the speed of light, which we really can't do, but it's a thought experiment. The lightning bolt over here now has farther to travel because the person has rapidly moved away from it in their rapidly moving train. And thus, what would seem to be simultaneously occurring lightning bolts will appear to this person on the train, given their frame of reference, to not be simultaneous. Rather, this one would occur before that one. The light got there before this one, and thus it appears this one occurred before that one to the person moving on the train. However, to the stationary observer who's not moving at the speed of light, it would appear that they strike simultaneously, since ex hypothesi, we are hypothesizing for the sake of the example, the person is midway between the two lightning bolts, and the light will reach the person's eyes at the same time. So the question now becomes, do the lightning bolts strike simultaneously or not? Well, there's no one single objective answer to that question. It depends. It depends on if you're the person on the rapidly moving train relative to that frame of reference, which is how Einstein put it. They wouldn't be simultaneous. This one would be before this one. Relative to the frame of reference for the stationary observer, they would be simultaneous. They would strike simultaneously. Now the question, what's the objectively true answer? The one that the moving observer would give or the stationary observer? And Einstein and others have said there's no single objectively true answer to this question of simultaneity. It depends on your frame of reference. It's relative, the truth of the matter is relative to your frame of reference, and that's how it goes with truth, at least for space and time. Pretty important things. We might think, since everything that occurs in space and time, if facts about space and time are themselves relative to a frame of reference, then maybe all of the facts that occur within space and time are. So at any rate, that was the example with the bolts of lightning and the train that I was getting at in class, and hopefully that kind of makes sense to you. It's just an example to show how the idea of a single objective, mind-independent truth is called into question by some developments in the 20th century, not the least of which was Einsteinian relativity theory. And that can be shown, once you kind of get the example right, put the guy in the train, through a fairly intuitive, simple thought experiment with the train and the bolts of lightning and so on and so forth. Okay, so I just wanted to pass that along, and do check out the new schedule of readings, and before you know it, we'll have a quiz. I'll post that. Start getting your study guide, questions answered. We'll go over them in class, and I'll see you on Friday. Hopefully you will get that curiosity forum posted and the reply. I think there's only like one reply, if any, but get her done. As my Uncle Bob always says, the name of the game for this assignment is really just getting it done. It's a participation, you joined in, you did it assignment, and no need to lose points over something like that. So just go for it. Don't worry about if you're doing it right or wrong. If you're doing it, you're pretty much doing it right. Alrighty, take it easy, and I'll see you guys on Friday.